Howdy folks and welcome. With the Fallout show coming out in April, I thought it was a great time to revisit the old wasteland. There's a reason why 23 years later from its first iteration, Fallout is getting a mainstream following. But what about this world has so many people involved, even dedicated to its lore and atmosphere? In this video, we'll explore how the original two Fallouts created an avid fan base and what's made this franchise iconic. The Fallout series uses story elements dating back thousands of years. In Dystopian Literature, a Theory and Research Guide by Keith Booker, they state, quote, "Of course dystopian literature has clear antecedents that are quite ancient. There is, for example, already a strong dystopian element in Aristophanes' satirical response to the utopianism of Plato in ancient Greece." Mr. Booker continues by stating, quote, "By the late 17th and early 18th centuries, writers like Jonathan Swift were writing works that were centrally informed by dystopian energies." So, what does this all mean? The writer is saying that the first trope of ancient writing was the utopia, a world without troubles. Aristophanes' response to Plato's utopia is considered to be the first dystopian literature. Just like how the original Fallout series uses the prim and proper American household as a depiction of the utopian centerpiece, or the advent of advanced technology, all of these are utopian ideas. Fallout is Aristophanes. It plays against every notion of that systematic peace and power. I think this context is really important when studying older media and art. It reminded me of a recent discussion with a group of friends about the original Blade Runner movie not holding up. I was taken aback, but I have learned never to have strong reactions to others' opinions of media. Not to say you can't have strong emotions about it, just try not to conflate the two. The other part of the discussion was that Blade Runner has too many tropes that are used today. But that's the thing with iconic pieces of media. They created those tropes. Citizen Kane as a movie right now has no real cultural relevance, but at the time it was released was a renaissance of film. Now, I don't think Fallout 1 and 2 are revolutions in games, but I do believe their releases changed the way games could depict the dystopian world and intelligently discuss societal power dynamics and political ideology in video games. The writing's complexity and depth is enhanced by the backdrop of the wasteland and the crumbling facades of an America that echoes all too well the reality that some face today. Whether it be political corruption, ideological overpromising, you name it, Fallout isn't the first to play around with these notions. However, for video games, Fallout opened the floodgates to the acceptance and yearning for a dystopian land to explore and a rich history that slightly parrots our own. Now, I am not discounting the fact that Fallout takes a lot of influence from a lot of different types of media. There's a great video outlining the developers' influences, and you'll see that these focuses aren't unique. The Fallout originals took these various ideas and molded them into one of the most detailed and iconic worlds gamers could explore, later spurring other ventures into the postmodern societal areas by different developers. Already iconic shots like the leather jacket and the loyal dog, combined by player choice and freedom, made Fallout its own unique atmosphere. That unique atmosphere is the sole reason people latched onto the series and still do today. I say that because the original Fallout's gameplay isn't revolutionary, and even though VATS is a great addition to the immersion and gameplay, pausing the game and aiming was not anything new. Let's focus on the ambiance then, the connecting factor to all the games in the series. I can remember so many specific areas and moments throughout my Fallout experiences. Gaining access to the Enclave base in Fallout 2 felt like I was Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. Entering the church and finding the Master felt eerie and unsettling. It really felt like I was trespassing on a place I had no business being in. In a world of super soldiers and grand spectacles, these moments of taking power away from the player through atmosphere should be played up so much more in modern gaming. Honestly, that's why I think survival horror is so popular. Obviously, these games are not that genre, however, they can share really similar emotions. Starting Fallout 1 or 2, you have to make resource management a necessity. Finding items or weapons doesn't necessarily make you more powerful. Utilizing speech or other specialty skills are essential for not going through all your ammo in the first hour of the game. The special system isn't just a name, it really does make the player feel special. From the beginning of the game, the ability of choosing how your character will interact with the world is daunting yet exciting. The word is not just hyperbole. Perks were also a fantastic brought-in idea, and using the mascot of the game was a really smart choice. Vault Boy wasn't in media before Fallout. The fact that Vault Boy now will be widely known is fascinating, and a true testament to artists and their work. Think about if you're making someone art right now. It might not get the recognition on a large scale that you'd hoped, but you never know. Van Gogh wasn't famous until he had passed, and if you haven't seen that Doctor Who episode with Van Gogh, well, if you ever have questions about things in life, I'd definitely check that out. Anyways, the character screen alone makes so many inferences to the world and what you're about to experience. The Fallouts make it abundantly clear that you're on a quest, and I kind of like that King Arthur-esque search for an answer trope. What the Fallout originals did brilliantly to flip that trope on its head and still use it in the story was making everything along the way so interesting and seemingly important. The A to B seemed like A to K and F to X and Z. You make the story yourself. The world doesn't really change, but the way the player experiences does. You can run to San Francisco in Fallout 2 right after the Temple of Trials. You could go to the hub first. It's up to you. And finding out where you'll die or survive without any hand-holding will always create more vivid memories and better gameplay. The mutants and enemies you'll face are all memorable and interesting. Yes, they become repetitive pretty fast, but they always have me in a fright. Some mutants are expertly detailed for the amount of assets they could pull off. Especially in Fallout 1. I forgot what the flyers are called, but when I first saw them, I really didn't feel comfortable. Speaking of assets, the talking heads using claymation were an excellent choice. I know people think they don't hold up, but it really reminds me of Wallace and Gromit. This choice does a great job at immersion, as well as showing the player the NPC is important enough to have a talking portrait. It's a great use of resources akin to Silent Hill's fog usage, saving precious RAM. Characters in the series carry gravitas not only through the delivery of their lines, but the areas that they inhabit. Lynette wouldn't feel as demeaning or hostile if you met her patrolling in the wastes. Harold would be surface level if you met him wandering, but the fact that he's trying to help the Gecko nuclear plant, the very thing that changed him so it doesn't happen to others, raises the layers of realism and storytelling to another level. Again, the story of Fallout 1 and 2 are not revolutionary. It's the accompanying pieces that make it striking. I believe most people remember Fallout 1 and 2's intro for the music and the choice of their brutal depictions of life. For example, having a TV ad about the annexation of Canada is jarring for me. In the real world, the United States and Canada have been diplomatic and trade partners for centuries. A 2-second sentence now has the player wondering, how could this happen? Remember the importance of that context too. American diplomacy is based on moral values, but like any country, that sometimes is a facade. The next clip of US Army shooting unarmed combatants sends a shiver down my spine every time. It sets the tone perfectly. Ironically, it seems like civilization had collapsed prior to the bombs even falling. That dark ambiance persists throughout the game. No matter where you go, death, decay, sickness, and strife follow you. And just like linear quest design not being too much fun, no monotonal atmosphere would keep the player engaged. So what was Fallout's brilliant solution? had the darkest and funniest humor in the most unsuspecting places.
How did you get here? Oh God.
From doing low intelligence runs to fourth wall break bars, the humor allows for the insane violence and vitriol to be enjoyed. Going down villainous paths can be so brutal, yet so transgressive that it's kind of hilarious. I won't name some of the heinous acts, but being able to put bombs in people's pockets or becoming a slaver had me questioning who chooses some of these options. It's really up to you how you want the world to view you. Even if they didn't add a karma system, you'd still feel the ramifications of your actions in-game and out. Honestly, I don't know about yourself, but I kind of always go the good guy kind of route. Maybe it's my love of the Odyssey-esque story, but the trope of the singular person making a difference while having collateral damage is an interesting duality that I find enthralling in storytelling. Anyways, your ability to influence the world and its inhabitants is plain and simply fantastic. There's nothing better in gaming than feeling your interactions having tangible effects. From your multipliers and perks to significant story and lore implications, Fallout Originals do an excellent job at giving the player a multitude of opportunities to influence the world around them. The Wasteland is not devoid of sound either. Fallout again delivers on flipping tropes on their head. The music in Fallout evokes post-war 1950s America, a time known for growth of wealth and health. With the backdrop of radioactivity and death is a chilling touch. Noises from weapons are well done. Hearing a minigun tearing into a raider or a super mutant is brutal and satisfying. Some effects could be clearer or better, whatever that means, but for such an old game, I think they get a pass. So all these little things add up. They've added up through 23 years and have made it to the desks of hundreds of CEOs, writers, directors, you name it. And it's gone to the next 100 people in the industry. Something drives good games. It's probably why certain franchises get a lot of internal oversight after success. Unfortunately, what usually happens after that is the mainstreaming and dilution of the next game. Fallout 1 and 2 didn't do that. Fallout 2, in my opinion, is actually better than 1 in many ways. They created something that has piqued the curiosity of millions of people, and now with the show, probably millions more. I hope the showrunners don't just mainstream it, right? But utilize the already strong universe and structure that the original games generated. Anyways, I won't focus on the story in this video, even though I love them dearly. But it's what I had mentioned to you previously. It's not the singular story of Fallout that survived and thrived over 23 years. It's the atmosphere itself. It's the irradiated soil to the great cons. It's the habologists and the master. It's everything. These games are timeless and will be copied to the end of civilization. If that doesn't make your game iconic, I don't know what does. I've loved Fallout since I was a kid. I hope I did a just job at describing why it's one of the most iconic pieces of media in existence. But my review cannot describe your lived experience. I implore you, if you are interested to play these games, you can find them on GOG or Steam. If the age makes you worried, there are so many solid playthroughs that are hilarious and fun to watch. Thank you so much to all my new subscribers. Ironically, I don't have any other words, but thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'll continue to work on my writing and editing. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you next time.